This is the Coaches Calling. This is Chris Gotti Lorenzo, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in and joining in on this conversation. I have an incredible guest, but before I get started, I want to thank everybody for liking, sharing, subscribing. Please keep going. You know, the two-way platform uh, is not just for me. Again, I have Lauren Leader. She has an incredible show on here called Majority Rules. Make sure you check that out. We have Mark Halperin with Sean Spicer. And who's the last guy? Tim Hogan, all on the morning meeting. Incredible show. Mark is one of the founders here. I promise you, that is one of the best shows you will watch anywhere. And then we also have, I'll give him a fifth element, the fifth column. Then shout out, you know what I'm saying, with Michael Monahan and his partners. That's oh man, don't make me forget these names here. What's his name? The second one is Matt Welch, and we also have Camille Forster. Again, an incredible show that is joining us, that helping us out with this two-way to bring the audience to get more people. Again, like, share, subscribe, join in. This is the Coaches Calling, and today's guest, I have no one other than my man, Benny Pough.
What's up,
Thank
man?
you for joining, man. I appreciate it. I've been waiting for this interview for a minute. You know, we talk again, and I know you're busy. Doing incredible things, and I want to know, where do you want to start? Because this goes a deep. This is a deep dive we want to do today.
So first and foremost, brother, I gotta say I'm proud of you. Like, this facility is amazing.
Thank you.
I wouldn't expect anything less. When you think about what we've been in the music business, what's so exciting is, like, you're one of the real ones. People use that word loosely.
Yeah.
The real one. Everybody says they're. Nah, I remember when I exited Rock Nation, you was my first call.
Wow.
And you was like, "Yo, B, whatever you want,
That's right.
I got you.
Whatever I could do."
But people don't even understand that's real.
Yes.
Like, that's who you are.
Yes.
Like, you about that gift of giving.
Thank
So,
you.
yo, doesn't matter what my schedule would be. I'm always here for you. I hope this isn't the last.
No.
Just depends on what your audience say. At the end of the day, is what they say, not what I think.
So give the audience like a breakdown to some of the things that Benny has been part of. You just mentioned Rock Nation. That's a huge name to just throw out there.
Mhm.
But let's talk about
that was the end of my corporate.
walk.
Yeah, that was the end of my corporate journey. I started as an intern, Motown Records, which is crazy how I actually got into business, because I had no aspirations. I was a stand-up out at and attending St. John's University when Deidre Tate, who was the regional director of promotions at the time, booked me for a show. Her and Maria Davis. Maria was actually doing the show, and Deidre was, collaborating with her. And at the end of the show, she said to me, "Yo, what are you doing?"
Yes.
I was like, "What do you mean, what am I doing?" She's like, "What are your plans?" I literally just graduated, and I hadn't thought about what my next steps was. She's like, "Why don't you come on down and be my intern?" Had no idea what any of that was. But I said, "You know what? By the weekend, I'll figure out what this intern thing is."
Were you in school?
Yeah. I just graduated.
And what did you graduate for?
So I was a communication and marketing major. So I had a double major.
A double major. Man. And that path led you into from graduating with that communication major to actually being inside of
A record company.
But at the lowest level as an intern.
Yeah, but you know what's so crazy about it? And I think, like, with this generation, and for people,
That's what I was going to touch on.
People looking for opportunities, you never know where it's going to come from. You never know where the opportunity is going to come from.
I never was blessed or had the ability to go to school. I never had that in me to go to school. And the reason I bring that up is because what I do like what you're saying. Again, you started as an intern. That journey, that grind of figuring out exactly what I had to do without the education. I had to figure out what I'm going to do. What was my passion? What did I want to do? And if someone asked me years ago, Like I'm 57. If someone asked me when I was in my 20s or even in my teens, late teens, what do you want to do? I had no clue. And I'm sure you was in that same position, and that's why you accepted that role.
Dude, it's even deeper than that. When
Mm.
you think about young black kids, and
Yes.
especially black men, like I went to college because I wasn't going to the army. So straight up, yo, my guidance counselor,
or you didn't want to
straight
be a
up, I
cop
wasn't going to the army.
or a fireman.
Those aren't even options. That wasn't even on the board, right? Like, but the crazy thing is I'll never forget, like going to see my guidance counselor, and he said, "Yo, at this point, you should consider going to the army." There was never a conversation about
Right.
college. It's like, listen, man, and I don't knock anybody who makes those
Where'd
choices
you
because I'm
grow
not
up?
doing it. White Plains,
In White Plains.
Westchester.
In Westchester. So you're in New York, and this is what your guidance
Yo,
counselor's
guidance
telling.
counselor said, "Go to the army." And I have crazy respect for people who serve because
Of course.
the majority of my family, they went into the army because no other options, and that's what they did. You either went into federal, right? You went into federal, right? But you worked civil service,
Civil service.
right?
Police, firemen, transit.
all of that. My mother
Go
was
take the
supposed to
test.
Go take the test. Oh, I know somebody, right?
Yes.
I know somebody that's gonna get you in.
Yes.
So always we
Those are
always
good
gotta
jobs.
It's a good job.
Pension,
Yo, but
benefits.
when we were sitting there talking, he's like, "Yo, you should consider that." And it kind of dawned on me, like people forget, like when you are signing up to go into the service or becoming a cop
Mhm.
or a firefighter, you're really signing a contract to put your life on the line.
Absolutely.
Yo, that's part of the job. So it's not
Absolutely.
always just about the benefits. And I think at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try something else.
Yeah.
And one thing led to the next. I actually played sports in school. So
Which sport?
yo, football, bro.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
played football too.
yeah. Get out. What position?
I was a cornerback or a safety, and then I was playing. Again, I go to high school. We won a city championship Bayside. You know what I'm saying? The Commodores. You know what I'm saying?
So I was a wide receiver and free safety.
I played
cornerback.
a flanker, which is like a wide receiver.
Yeah, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
of course. So after that, it was an interesting journey, man. In
Yeah.
college, new baby,
Wow.
married. I was married at 20 years old, figuring all of that out.
Wow.
Divorced by 23.
I wasn't married. I had my first son at 21, which is figuring that out.
Part back to where we started this. And as we get into the music, a lot of people who enter into music have similar stories just like us. Because I think what we have to look at and really start focusing on is the education. The education isn't just books. The education is like, yo, how we learning to grow
How?
as young men and women out here in this society, right?
Let
And
me-
though that then actually starts to direct the decisions that you make.
Did you grow up with both parents?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, me too.
Yes.
Were they successful?
Yes. Relative. Right.
Okay.
So
Successful meaning what? You was middle class.
no, we was yo, so funny we talk about classes, right? Like,
Yes.
like black people, I'm gonna say my neighborhood.
Sure.
Everybody always looked at classes of trying to strive to be to the next. Like, so we would say like we were upper lower class. We wasn't quite poor.
No,
we wasn't middle poor. We was upper lower. Right?
We was just enough to be poor.
Yeah, we was in the grand scheme of things, we was poor.
No, for sure.
But we were rich in love, right?
That's what I tell everyone when they ask,
Rich
because
in
they
love.
can't believe, most people, and especially corporate, they can't believe men of color was raised with both parents.
Mhm.
They almost look at it shocked. My mom and dad was together for 66 years. I said they didn't have any money, but they had love. And I said that love was trickled down poured into 8 kids. It's 8 of us. And that's what we had, but we had no money. But that drive, that's what drove you, because of that love. And you wanted to do something for your parent. You wanted to do something to help them because you seen how hard they worked, just enough to be poor.
And you know what's so crazy to that point? That you make a very salient point. My mom, when she passed 3 years ago, dude, she worked at the post office
Mm.
for over almost 40 years. My mother probably never made $60,000
Yeah.
a year, but she had hundreds of thousands of dollars when she passed.
Ain't that nothing?
Yo, because they lived a whole different way.
Yes.
Right? There was no social media. You wasn't going beyond your means.
Yeah, see, we didn't have none of that.
None of that.
My dad worked, my mom was a housewife. She stayed home
Yeah.
and took care of 8 kids. But my dad was a cab driver.
Right.
Never owned the cab.
Mhm.
When he finished his career, he was I always call him Louis De Palma. I don't know if you remember
Of
Taxi.
course.
He was the dispatcher
Yeah.
at the cab
Yeah.
place. And,
Yeah.
but he never made more than $35,000 for in any 1 year. So imagine and that's at his height. Imagine when we had 8 kids, it was nothing. So that was you wanted to make sure you took care of him. He worked every day. You never seen him. So I could only imagine your mother was doing the same thing.
Exactly.
He didn't, when he passed, like you said, she had hundreds. No, he had zero. Nothing. He just had 8 kids. And that's rich enough. If that makes any sense to anybody.
Of course.
You know, I always go back to Bob Marley when he said, "What's rich?"
Yeah.
Right? Because everyone puts
Exactly.
money on it. It's like, what's rich? My father was rich. He lived like he was a rich man, even though he had nothing. And again, he passed and instilled those values in us, me and my brother, you know, the whole family. So I understand. I'm just asking those questions because similar in age. I'm 57. I know you're right there as well. You're 56.
56.
And so we grew up the same, in the same setting, but it's a pleasure here because all of my friends don't have mother and father.
Mhm.
There was one parent and rough. You know, I didn't know any friends that had 2 parents. It's crazy that was actually still together, right? And working together.
Old black love, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, because you know what? It goes back to a lot of different principles when you think about it, right? Marriage was a true commitment.
Mhm.
When you decided to marry somebody, you was committed.
Yeah.
You was no such
Better
divorce
or
was never
worse.
an option.
It was for
Divorce
real.
wasn't an option.
Never.
Like I never heard my parents talk about that. And you know, things wasn't always good, but things aren't always good. Right?
You got to get through it.
You got to make it work.
Yes.
And that's where I think we give up a lot.
So, okay. So you get through there, the
Yep.
intern.
Yes, sir.
What's your next? When is your first paid gig? Like when you're on a salary and they're paying, even if it was a stipend, like here, you're going to get this every month or whatever it may be. How long did it take you from intern to get to that?
3 years. So
3 years. No, this is
$25 a week.
And that's what's your first stipend?
$25. Yo. So I was getting $25 a week. I was like a postgraduate intern, something they janked up
Sure.
in Motown, right? Thank you for that.
And what label?
Motown.
Motown.
Yeah,
That's right.
so
I'm sorry.
$25 a week on the books, and then I was getting $25 from Deidre on the side. So I was making $50 a week for years. But I had 3 other jobs. So I did security.
Yeah,
everything else.
No, but the
to
grind,
sustain.
because
Exactly.
you consider you made your life work in music.
Of course.
That's what made you who you are today. So that's why I'm talking about that. Of course, we did other things to survive, but
it wasn't about the money.
Never about the money. It's the passion.
Yeah,
it's something I try to instill in these kids today because you see my daughter, she's working out here, and I say, find what you love. Find it. Search it. You want to do something, chase it. Don't just go through it. And they have the ability, they're second generation.
Right.
She has the ability to live with, and I take care of her. We didn't have that. Like, I know I didn't. I couldn't go to my mom or dad for anything.
Nothing.
So there's nothing I could say, well, I want to do this. Could you help me? I knew the answer. No. So I didn't even approach it from that standpoint. You know, I did a penny saver. I always worked my whole life. And I did a penny savers. That's when, you know, all the discount flies. These kids don't know
coupon books.
Coupon book. And you go to the projects and you got to put that or hang it on doors. I would make maybe $42 for the month. And I gave half to my mother.
Yeah. I paid my mother rent.
Yeah.
Yo,
I'm 12
forget
years
about
old.
that.
Like I'm 12 or even younger when I started doing penny savers. Then I did a paper route if the snow hit the ground. But it wasn't like I'm doing it to keep money. It was right here. I know they needed it. And that was their blessing. When I say they're rich, because now they had 8 kids that was giving them. And yes, he didn't make money, but he didn't want for nothing. Did anything, and that was the blessing in that Lorenzo household, right? And that's something
Beautiful thing.
that values, those values of you sitting there and saying you worked for years, but look at the result. And this is the part that I want them to understand. But you found a calling in you that you said, I could do this. I like it. And I'm going to continue. The money will come. I just want the kids to understand that's really life. And today, especially because today is so fast, they want to be gratified in instant gratification. Social media is that, right? They get a like as soon as they post. I got a like. Nah, that's not real life. I use in social media for entertainment, me personally.
Yeah, whenever you got a product, you need, you're just selling a product.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that really, I see the intense value of it is, you can hit millions and billions of people
Yes.
if you're able to connect.
We never could have did that.
Never could have. But bro,
You went into promotions,
yo,
yes?
that's how I started.
Okay.
I started in promotions, which was the job ultimately. The first job was at Motown, was
Yes.
in promotions. And it's to your point that you said, I realized my thing, that was my niche. I was a salesperson. So I sold fax machines, cutlery, I done everything, right? So when I got into the business, I'm like, yo, people get paid? Like promoting records, like, yo, this is a
Yes.
job. This is a real job.
This is a real job.
It's a real
Sign me up.
Yo, sign me up. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's a social sales job. I
Yeah.
got it. But I fell in love with the business of music with it.
So what's your first job with Motown?
Yeah.
What's the
Regional
first
director of promotions?
of promotions, which means
Promotions. So
I understand what it means. I
of
want everyone to
course.
understand.
So
that.
the territory that I covered was New England, which is New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. So that was my territory. And in promotions, if you think of it, because the promotions word actually encompasses and covers a lot of things, but in music, it's the ability to get records played, right? So
back then, it was all about records.
That's how you became a star.
Being played on radio.
That's how you became a star.
I just had Damien Young.
Get out of here.
On here, yes.
Get out of here.
Shout out Demiza, man.
Shout out.
Again, he was arguably probably one of the most powerful men because he controlled radio on the West Coast for sure. And he was very influential for the East Coast. And that's, when he was on, I was explaining how powerful he was and what he did for Murder Inc. As far as getting our record broke. We didn't break on the East Coast, which is very weird, right? We're a New York-based company, but we broke on the West Coast with Demiza Young. Damien, shout out Damien again. That's why, he always credits me for actually getting him back in because he went away for a minute. And then I did an interview with him a few years ago on a different show called Giving Him the Business. And that's what made him say, I could do what I'm doing today. That's why he's doing it. And it's pretty interesting because it was a great, great meeting when I met him in Vegas. We shot in Vegas. I had a studio out there in Vegas. I was actually living in Vegas for a minute. And we chopped it up. And I was like, man, your knowledge needs to be spread. You're too smart. You're too influential to be sitting back and not being out here. And his show is amazing right now. I don't know if you've seen.
So you guys, I'm just trying to think when I first met you when I came to Def Jam. So when your music broke West Coast first?
And we broke West Coast first, Demiza Young.
Wow.
That's why we shot the video out there.
Got you.
Holla, holla. Go look. You see, we're on the West Coast in the Irving Jah in the 64, you know what I'm saying, bouncing. We was out there first because they showed the love at radio.
It was so crazy. I remember the first time we all got together in the conference room. I just came to the building, and it was different for me because I was coming from MCA Records.
Yes.
Def Jam was a whole different
animal.
Straight up different. All of y'all was just new, right? Like
that
it was
energy.
It was nuts.
Savage.
From everybody.
I try to explain this.
No, it was crazy.
I was
straight R&B. You gotta understand. I came from an R&B label. I'm an R&B guy.
Yes.
Never wore white on whites in my life because I was a shoe guy, right? Like I had $500, $300 shoes.
Yeah.
Because you can get the cobbler to change the heels. So it's a different energy coming to the premier hip hop
Hip hop.
label
Yes.
with all of y'all, Murder Inc., Rough Riders, Rockefeller, Def Jam Proper,
Yes.
everybody. And I remember it was Ashanti, Rock With You was going for ads, and ads, for those who don't know, is actually the starting point
That's the
of
beginning.
a project, right?
Yes.
So this day, the ad date, everybody deems and heralds this has to be big.
It's the most
number
important.
one most added.
Yes.
This gotta happen. So I think it was Ashanti, Rock With You, and Beyonce, Crazy in Love was going the same week. Like the week I start, I'm the head of promo now.
And Irv is leaning on you.
Irv is leaning nuts. This gotta be like, this is real. Like these are two big
Yes. And she's at Columbia.
Yes.
She's not inside of Def
She's
Jam.
not.
They're on a different label. There's no friendly.
None of that. It's
listen to me.
real.
Beyonce is a friend.
Right.
But this is real competition.
Correct. So there can only be
there
one.
There can only be one.
Can only be one number.
Most added.
And I'm running, and now I'm running point.
Yes.
Go get it.
Go get it.
Number 2 with Ashanti.
Yes.
Looking crazy as a mug.
Yeah.
Like it was. I learned a lot from that.
Listen to me. Irv accepted it.
Yeah,
it's
but
Beyonce.
I learned a lot.
Shout out B, man.
I learned a lot.
Right?
No,
Irv
you learned
accepted
a lot.
it. Like we took it in stride because who it was. It's Beyonce.
But everybody still wanted what they wanted.
Oh, you damn right.
And I think what happens with people, I'll never forget, because you got to think about it, right? Where I came from wasn't the energy, wasn't that kind of culture. One is one because I wanted one.
Yes.
At Def Jam, you had to get one.
You
had to be that, right? And like what people don't understand about growth and jobs and responsibility and how you grow in power, it's not about all the good times, it's how you deliver the bad news.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to deliver the bad news if you want to be a boss, right? Or if you want to be the leader, you want to be the one to be. Come on, bro.
Our voice is huge in that building. So, here you come in, the new position, and we don't catch that number one with a bullet.
Nobody, who is this guy?
Yeah,
anyway?
Like, is he really the right guy?
Right. And everyone's watching. All the subs is watching now.
Not all the Sony.
Everybody's watching. And I had to fly to LA right after I lost. It was a long 6-hour flight.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot.
Yeah. It's all,
learned how to put systems together.
Like I said, shout out Beyonce. It's Beyonce.
Yeah.
We didn't look, we're competitive to a fault, but we're not crazy.
Correct.
We understand it would be different if it was a different artist that didn't warrant that type of attention or respect, and we didn't get it. Then it would have been a different approach to you as well. I'm sure of it, because I know that intense conversation we was having. We know what we're up against. We're looking, we're studying. We know what we're up against.
But the game is crazy because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And nobody ever let me know.
Yeah, we didn't tell you.
So it's just different. It was just different, but I loved it. Loved all of it.
Oh, man. So we get through this. Now you're running radio. You said New England. That's the territory you're covering.
Yes, sir.
The region you're covering, and you have to get radio. Those relationships you built from those days, because I always looked at the person doing promotion as a very unique person. Shout out Mike Kaiser.
Shout out Mike Kaiser.
Saying very unique person, because I'll tell you, Irv wanted me to do it for Murder Run. I started and I said, I can't do this.
Yeah, you're not a promo guy.
I am not a promo guy.
Definitely not a promo guy.
That promo guy has to understand that balance of why the no's that come in, and I wasn't hearing no's very well back then.
It's political.
Yes.
Super political.
And I to this day, my brother turned into a very, very good promo.
No, he's amazing.
Unreal.
He's amazing.
And I said, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
And he did become one of the top fucking promo guys. We used to call him a radio whore, because he was a whore for radio. Yeah. But we knew what that is. That's how we got our records played. That's why Murdering all them records spun so much. Is because of the combination of the two. With that being said, how did you deal with all the Mm. The imbalance of being a promo person, because that's what it is. And what I mean by imbalance, so everyone understands, you go into a market, New York City, we have Hot 97, we got Power 106. And every city has that. And when they play your record, the other one doesn't want to play your record. They want this first, which means you can't do that for them first. And it's really that juggling act. And the best promos, Kevin Lyles. These are the
Shout out to
best.
Kevin.
Shout out Kev. These are some of the best, and we're going to talk about stuff because he's just stepped down. I wanted to ask
absolutely.
you about that, but and bring in some of the audience. I see they're waiting. We'll be with you in a second, but think of it from the question I'm asking, because how did you juggle all of those things and with multiple artists, because everyone doesn't get the same treatment, everyone will get the same result, and you have to keep it all up because that promo guy predicated the result of the success of that label.
So part of
Am I saying something wrong?
no, you got it all right. I got you.
Okay.
So part of the shot what was most important for me was being able to sit with the partner, sit with the artist, and be able to tell them we gave it our best.
Yes.
Because as you know, every record's not going to work.
Yes.
Right, but you got to make sure that you gave it the shot.
How do you tell an artist that believes that's their baby?
No, that's their heart.
And you tell them their baby's ugly.
It's the
no one likes your baby.
You can do that if you've done all that you can do.
Yeah.
So when you were speaking to the market, how do you make a difference in the market with competitive stations? Well, guess what? Who's going to support me? The record comes out at the same time. Mm-hmm. Who's there first, right? We back to the first. Who's won, right? So that becomes the first indicator. And then second, the relationship. Like, you're not going to give the secondary station the big opportunity first if they're not.
What's their level of commitment?
Where we at,
record?
Right? Yeah. Or you use that as bait to get the big station in. So that's the whole politics of working both sides of the fence. And everybody knows. So, you know what? That's a nuance. It's a nuanced job. And there's a lot of other
Sean
caveats.
Sean
Pecos.
Shout out Sean too.
Yo, one of the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
These guys, but they're all groomed in this hip hop culture. Mm-hmm. And that's a part because you came from R&B. Mm-hmm. And the dynamic of that hip hop culture, the aggressiveness, man, I tell all these executives I deal with today from corporate America, when I get inside of their system, whatever business it is, they can't fuck with us as executives.
No.
You're sitting here and there's no company you couldn't run because of the experience you have in that field we was in, the competitiveness, the challenges. Jay-Z says, I always use that expression to this day. He said it in the song. He said, difficult takes a day, impossible takes a week. Okay? That's how we felt in hip hop. All of these challenges, we fixed it. We made it work, and no one could believe it. And the amount of time it took was unbelievable because we was under that gun. We was under the pressure of delivering over and over and over. That's the only way you could keep going. And that's when I look at these other executives, they don't have that kind of dynamic energy inside of them.
And I think that's what's really important. When you look at all of us, right?
Yeah.
We all have the same blood running through our veins, right? But we're all unique because of our characters and personality. No different. A no is never no. A no is just never no. When you're dealing in business.
In business,
right?
That's right.
No is not no until it's no more.
Until you can't.
If you say, yo, dude, at the end of the day, for me as a promo person, if you living in Detroit or Lansing, Michigan, or you in Tupelo, and you tell me no, I'm jumping on a plane to go get yes.
Yes.
And that then changes the whole trajectory on success. Like when you look at business and you go like, well, guess what? It doesn't stop until we say it stops. And then we change and start all over again. Then you create the narrative.
Right.
And the narrative is only about creating success.
That's it.
And ultimately, a lot of us became successful, right? Understanding the narrative.
Oh, man. I love it.
But we also gave up a lot.
Of course.
Right.
But, like I said, I'm in so many different industries, me personally. And I just look at executives in a different light. because I felt that grooming we went through in music is bar none number one.
One of the best
And hip hop.
ever.
In
Ever.
hip hop. Because
Changed
you
my life.
yourself just admitted R&B wasn't like that.
Hip hop changed my life.
Hip hop changed
My life.
Yes.
No way, no.
And the grooming of that executive, the way we think, our decision making, the speed, the agileness we could flex and deal with so many moving parts at once. There's no executives better than hip hop executives. And Leor Cohen, shout out Leor.
Shout out Leor.
Is again, he's one of the guys that I learned both things from, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot of stuff I would never do. He has a lot of stuff that was super shrewd business moves. His sternness, the way he approached things, and that's why he had his culture. Like he had his in his business, like they gave, like Dame would call him culture vulture and things. He's a strong businessman. Again, like I said, some of these moves never would condone, but I understand he's making decisions from a bigger level, a higher level, and that's why he's so successful.
And you learn in this game to take the good from people. You don't have to take the bad.
That's it.
You don't have to do that, right? But there's value in every circumstance as long as you're learning.
Yes.
And ultimately, from all of these guys, right? If you take the good and you learn and you apply it, hence there's a whole different outcome.
Well, that's exactly what I do. I take the good.
You take the good.
I take the good. And we learned from so many, like in front of us, that was there in that hip hop culture explosion, let's call it, because that's the golden era. Let's say if when it took it from here to here, and now it's still going, don't get me wrong. It was just a different day and age and the way you approach the business. How do you look at today? Before I answer, I would love to hear your approach for today, the climate in today from an artist today.
So, be careful what you wish for.
Yes, you just might get it.
You just might.
You got it. Now what?
Now what? Right?
Yes.
You wanted to be independent. You wanted to be in control of your assets. You want total direction on your success. Well, now you can do it. Will anyone care?
Right.
Right. And ideally it's a great time for independent artists that are really willing to work. Right. And those who aren't, you need to figure something else different.
How about the majors?
The majors.
We see what the shakeup is going on. I just, again, I'm going in there because we kind of segued right in. I still have a lot more to go with you. And I want to start taking in calls. They're waiting on us, and I see everybody. But what about that segue of where they are at today and the majors, where they're at today? How do you look at that?
So major labels will always exist, right?
Of course.
Always going to exist.
Well, I never say that. I never say always. You know why?
It'll be a different iteration of what you think.
Yeah.
Like the kids today only know majors
because there's companies that we thought was too big to go down and they're no longer here. Evolution, things change. So,
but they'll morph into different things.
Yes.
Right? There'll be a collaborative of a lot of different businesses.
Yes.
Right? But music will be a component of the business where stars still go.
It could still morph into something else where record labels don't exist, where it is still record business though, but handled from a different perspective. The way it's moving, I feel that way. I feel it's going to lean more towards the independent side.
Oh, all day. No, bro, you was ahead of the curve with that.
Yes.
Right?
Adventure music.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Way ahead of the curve. Yeah. And again, when I look at that landscape of those distribution platforms, they're still not really touching the vein of what I'm talking about. And that's why I still feel I have an advantage over them.
Well, it's back to, once again, it's just back to hard work.
Yeah.
Right. Ultimately, no matter what you choose to do, if you're going to a label, you can't expect the label to make you a success because they can't.
Could they have done that back then?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
They controlled they controlled the board.
We controlled the game.
Controlled the game.
We don't
from
control
every aspect of media, business, everything.
And that was the goal of every record label, was to control who they made that star.
Or gave the opportunity, right? You
gave the opportunity. But
you got the best shot at becoming a star
with this one.
At a label. Yes. Because think about it, right? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, shoot, maybe even 7 years ago, what indie could be successful?
Right.
It's unheard of.
It's damn near
It's
impossible.
impossible. It just couldn't happen. So, times are changing, people evolving because there are other different platforms, avenues you can go to garner success. It
Yes.
just means, what does success mean to you?
Man, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Right?
I want to grab a call.
Let's go.
Let's grab a call from someone out there. Ish, right there. He just popped up. Kathy Parent. I can't see from here. I think that's the name. That's random. I'm just picking a name out. Make sure she's not muted, and let's see what she has to ask.
I can hear you guys.
Now we hear you.
Yeah.
I could hear you now. How you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Great. Nice to see everybody. Nice
Yeah.
to see everyone.
I just what do you have a question that you had in particular for myself or for Benny?
No, I've just been following you guys, so it's kind of nice to join on this Zoom meeting. So I'm always following and learning. I'm a life coach, so I'm always looking for information, and I love what you guys are doing. And I just want to bring some inspiration into this. So thank you for that. I appreciate you guys having me here.
All right.
Just stopping by.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Stay coming, coming on and following us. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's go to right there in the top. I can't see it as far as the top. He has, I think it's an adventure music artist. I think that's Skitter Scatter. Is that him? Pull him in.
What's going on, Chris? What's going on, Chris? Skitter Scat.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that was my logo behind you. That's why I said, wait a minute. Let me pull you in.
Listen to the team.
Okay, I appreciate it, man. What questions you have for Benny and myself?
My question is, I know you was talking about, marketing and promotion, and just from your standpoint, I'm working on a EP album, and for years I've just been releasing singles and singles, trying to build my fan base through the years to see exactly what's my strong point, what's my strong avenue as far as my target audience, and recently I did a poll as far as everyone that's supports my music, would they like to hear EP, and about 90% of them said yes. The music is finished. The splits, the numbers, and everything is all written down. Now my next step is marketing. Now the type of artist I am, I'm a performing artist. So the area I'm at, is mainly based on one target audience.
Where are you located?
DMV.
You're in the DMV area. Okay, keep going. I was just making sure the audience they know where you're from, because location has a lot to do with marketing.
Oh yeah, so mainly my area closer to DC, it's
Exactly.
more of trap music, street music, and the type of artist I am is more on that avenue of Wale, Logic, Cole, the lyrical side. So my question to you is, the type of producers and everything. I feel like this is such. I know every artist feels like that as far as a project, but I feel like this is a good project to just to let go by. So after the marketing part, what would you consider the next step?
From the marketing, so that's the marketing of your EP. What would you do like to start the marketing rollout of that EP? That's the question you're asking.
Yeah,
Next
next
step.
that. What would you do as far as that, and then after? Just because I know it doesn't stop out as far as marketing.
So have you shot your videos?
You have videos
I've shot a video last year. I was
for this EP, not last year. For this EP, he's asking.
Oh yeah, so the video I shot is going to be on the EP.
Okay, so you have a video ready for that.
Yeah, The video has 25,000 views. Reached over 50,000 streams. But this is a whole EP, so there's a whole bunch of other songs that haven't been heard. I've only released 2 songs off of it. So mainly the question is, as far as marketing, after the marketing part, what would be your next step from your opinion, your advice?
I mean, think about it right now. What's really important is back to where it was, the way it is, and what it will always be. You got to get out there and touch the fans.
Always.
You got to get out there and touch people.
We would say touch the town.
Touch the town.
You got to touch the town. and more than your town.
And
Like,
especially since you're in the DMV, you have access to Virginia.
yes,
You have Philly. You have a lot of opportunities,
Baltimore.
which are driving cities, right?
Yes,
To create that momentum and get the buzz. But that in person, which reminds me of, I do a conference down in Charlotte, and one of the third runner up, she told me, which was fascinating. I didn't even know this. So what she does is she does a lot of free shows. I don't know if young brother you doing free shows
sure.
out there or not. How you setting up your pop up game? How you're actually engaging with fans? So she
Yes.
does free shows and she gets 100 or 200 people may show up. She sells cups, bro, for $30.
Cups.
Cups.
Merch.
Because merch. Because people may not support your show for
Right.
$30 or $40,
They'll buy
but
something.
they'll buy something to support you.
Yes.
So once again, I would always stick to creating those one-on-one fans, because what steps away from that is someone going to say to their friend, yo, what did you do last night? Yo, I
Yes.
was with to go see, and yo, what an amazing show.
You know what's crazy what you're saying? I would tell when I go on the road, I would tell my team, nothing too small,
Nothing too small.
because we're building it brick by brick.
Mhm.
You're looking at it the same way, or at least you should be looking at it the same way. So getting 50 people, 100 people in a room that's captive, that's how you get to 200, 500, 1,000. It's simple as that. No one starts at the top. Everyone builds it brick by brick. And without that solid foundation, you're not going to have a good career. You're going to be in trouble. So don't worry about it. You should start figuring out the routes. You know, I'm looking to do another tour, so maybe you'll talk to Dex. That's an advantage Adventure Music does. We do tours and allow artists to come out to the cities.
And that's so important.
Yeah, because they can't.
So
Maybe
they-
they can't set up the shows. We set it up.
Or there are no avenues where they are.
Right.
And ultimately, just being online is not enough.
No.
It's,
No.
it's just not
It's
enough
more than
in,
that.
in building fans.
Yeah. So that's what we do. We keep that going. So don't stop with the promotion. And again, you have to find your niche, in my opinion, as well. Meaning that sound. Everyone's not Drake. Everyone's not Kendrick Lamar. You understand? Everyone's not Meek Mills. Everyone has a different sound. And yes, when I say that, some of those fans overlap. But when you're starting at the smallest level, you don't get that overlap. You have to find the ones that's going to support you and build with them.
And don't be afraid of collaborations.
Do not be afraid of
Don't be afraid of
collaborations.
that.
That adds huge value.
Uh,
Huge value. Using others, and it could be an influencer. How about that? To get in your video or to even promote your video, to get it to a bigger and broader audience than you're normally dealing with. You have to look at these avenues. You got to be super creative and never take no for an answer. You have to say, if it's a no, well, how about this? You have to give them the next solution. Like, well, let's try it this way and let's try it that way. Benny just said, as a radio promo, that's the solution he had to deal with. I feel that is exactly what every artist, independent artist, has to do today as well. It's not that the no isn't real. You could hear the no, but you have to give someone another solution. Like, well, let's try it this way. Or you don't like that? Well, let's try that. And keep going and just keep going.
and also, you know what becomes important is don't be afraid to take a page out of someone else's book.
Yes.
Yo, it's too much information. You need to have at least 2, 3, 4 like people like you. Follow them and see what they do that works.
Yes.
And take it, right? Repurpose it and make it yours.
Yes. But Skidder, thank you for the question. As always, he's one of the artists that's with me that always supports and comes out to all the events and different things. And I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm
Thank you for having me. I
gonna
appreciate
go
it.
back to the audience, but I wanted to keep going back with
Go,
you.
Scott.
So when I want to keep going in the timeline.
Got you.
Because there's some big major events that happen inside of your life
Yes,
that
sir.
we didn't get to. So we're now, you're at Def Jam, running the promotional department at Def Jam. What's your next step from there?
So I leave Def Jam to go to Epic Records.
Epic.
So doing I was at Def Jam for 7 years, and man, that joint was on fire. You got to think about it. what happened during that time. Obviously, all of the stuff that you guys did with Rule and
Yeah.
Ashanti, we had Ross come through, we had Jeezy come through, we had Neo come through, we
Oof.
had Justin Bieber come through, we had the Black Album, we had Rihanna, we had Emancipation of Mimi.
We was on
Yo,
fire.
it just didn't. Yo, it just LL. Yo, it just didn't stop, and ultimately, all good things come to an end.
Yes.
And I thought it was my time.
To move.
During the course of my career, I've always left at the top of my game. Like I always feel that once I create the opportunity, it's for others. Right?
Mm.
Like I'm not just trying to stay here and just be here. It's like there's so many other things in life to do.
Yes.
And as once again, if you can do it one time, you can do it
Again.
another time, right?
That's right.
If it's about what you saying is so,
If it's real.
right? If it's real, and that's what when the opportunity came to go to Epic, I was gone. I left, and it became even a better next step. I was given the opportunity of being an executive vice president at Epic Records, which is rare for people of color, black men,
Sure.
black anything, right? Like we don't truly have the juice to make the decisions that are financial,
Yes.
right? We
They
play
don't
with
give you that check.
no, we play with departments, right?
Yeah.
Like you're a department head.
Here, and they tell you
and
here.
yo, here, yo,
This is
hold-
what you got.
and you're not going to all of the yeah, that's it, right?
Yes, it's
So
difference.
so I think what LA did was gave me an opportunity to look at the business from a bird's eye perspective, which was really the education to get me to be prepared right now because I learned it. I
Right.
saw it. You see the disparity as well as you see the strengths. You see the objectives. You see the holes. You see it all when you're in the position where you can actually look at the information, judge the information, and make the real decisions that are needed from both a creative and financial perspective. So Epic was great from that perspective. I also got an opportunity to sign some talent that I never had that opportunity before. Future coming in the building was quite amazing. Gotti coming in, Travis Scott, which
This is what makes executives' career.
absolutely
The signing or breaking of these artists.
that's what sets you apart, makes you different, right?
Yeah.
Than just somebody who's either you socializing or
I always talk that because as an executive with me and my brother and the success that we've had, especially my brother, the things he brought into the
talent.
system. In business, in corporate America, they're looking at the amount of generated revenue that is directly, excuse
Bless
me,
you.
thank you, under your name. All of that generated revenue. So when you just to say Murder Inc. in Rough Riders and Rockefellers, just that alone under that one name, and then everything that fell from out of those trees.
It's insane.
Yeah, we're talking about billions and billions of
That's
generated dollars.
that even drilling down a little deeper, that someone was able to identify,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You think about
Before anyone understood it, just think of DMX, man. I know it's easy to say it now because he's a huge star, but the man
somebody
was,
saw something else nobody else did.
they laughed at us because he was barking. They laughed us out the meeting. You know how you
Yeah,
have those marketing
absolutely.
meetings and you have to play your music and what you want to do. And like, who's going to buy his records? A Chihuahua. Like, this is crazy. People don't know Irv quit. We walked away because they didn't understand that culture and that sound. And we're gone. DMX found out, and that's what the day when he found out, he was down there in tears telling Irv how much he loves him because he didn't realize he left everything for him if they didn't understand it or believe it. So these are things like when you're an exec, this is how you make your bones. This is what makes you that exec. The signings, the amount of money generated, the success from the artists you brought in, uh, which we never get treated fairly, equally for, in my opinion. Like people of color, we don't
Facts.
get that. We don't get that. These other execs do a fraction of what we did, and get all the accolades, and they get to move up.
Why do you think that is? I mean, that you
It's
can't
just
just hit that.
BJ. I'm gonna use my man BJ. Shout out BJ. He said white execs or white, the execs, they don't fall down, they fall up. Like, I lost my job today, but guess what? I just got a better one. They don't fall down, they fall up. We fall down, and then we got to get up and get back up. So that's something that has just been inside of the structure of corporate America forever. And it takes us to change,
Exactly.
meaning to work with each other to change. I don't believe it'll ever fully change because they have ultimate decisional power and they may not allow that. Now, there'll be exceptions and there'll be people that say there's an exception. Of course, there's only one thing that's 100%, and that's death. So the exceptions will go through. It still doesn't make it even or fair because you could point out one, you know,
Correct.
and that's what they'll do. They'll point out the one, and I'll be like, yeah, what about these? Because that lives in every type of business, not just music.
And part of it is that we're so new to the opportunities that we don't even have an idea what the power is.
Yeah.
Like we're chasing the wrong game. And ultimately, to your point of what you said, it's important for us to look at it as a unit, not as individuals.
Right.
Because that's how the opportunities actually came to play when you roll back in history and music, right? The black music departments, why were they created? Why were they formed? Well, guess what? Because we know how to market and promote and we control the acts to a degree, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, when we're mainstream, meaning the executives, you're now in the system and you no longer have that power base. So think about it. You guys are independent. Everybody wants to pick up independence.
Yes.
Right? And then they change the structure of the company.
Yeah.
Now you are now reliant on what?
Yeah.
Less of the power base that you have because you're now dependent on the inside for the opportunity.
Yeah. This chess, not checkers.
Right. Exactly.
And you know what's crazy is we learned this afterwards.
Correct.
I don't want to make no stretch of your imagination to act like I understood this shit in the moment. We did not. And that's, the experience.
But the responsibility, though, and that's also part of the problem. The black information cycle is always post.
Yes.
Like when we're coming up, where the people who were before us, like, yo, bro, this is what you got to do. This is what's going to happen.
You're going to make
Here's
me
the
talk
trap.
about shit.
Go left. Don't go right.
Is there a reason? Do you feel there's a reason that exists that way? Because there are brothers that was before us, but they didn't give up the information. I wonder why.
Part of it is a lot of them become disgruntled because they no longer have the power. Yeah. And because I don't have the power, those are crabs though. Because I don't have the power, I'm not going to share it with you. You figured out, youngin', and it's generational.
It is.
It's generational. Information was always contained and it leaves with me and nobody else is going to, it dies with me.
It's crazy. We was taught wrong.
But that goes back even deeper.
That goes deeper. But the reality is you got to figure out when to break this cycle.
And that's what, exactly.
I broke that shit.
So did I.
And I'm not letting it live because I tell everyone, I empowered so many people. I give them so much information and knowledge, not worrying about myself. Just because, here, brother, I want you to know this. And hopefully it helps you now, but understand it. And I do that where it wasn't done for us at all. At all. And then, a lot of these guys, they didn't want you to be in the same neighborhood as them. They didn't want you to have the house they had or the car they had. So they kept you down without giving you that information. You found that out later also. Like in hindsight, they say that, what is the expression? Hindsight's 2020.
2020.
Okay. We see everything now. And that's the hindsight of this business and actually of this culture in the community that we're talking about, of these black executives. They didn't pass on information, or as the hood would say, they didn't pass the connect.
So there were a few. So So we don't want to disparage everyone.
No, you can't.
You can't. So I don't want nobody to walk
No,
away
no, you
like all
can't. Like,
black people, like, yo, they just crabs.
but
right?
at the end of the day,
But
I
at the
said
end of the day,
the majority was
the
this.
majority.
Yes.
Exactly. Right. But when you think about, or what I've seen, especially going through corporate, like I'm a corporate guy, 30 years of it, the opportunity comes from different places.
Yeah.
You know, like one of my biggest opportunities came from a gay white woman, right? That took the risk on me. But the first opportunity was a sister who said, like, yo, I'm gonna gift you and give you this opportunity, right? I'm gonna take a bet on you, and I'm gonna put my job on the line when it came down to it for you because I believe in you.
Ooh.
More than you probably believe in yourself, right? So there are those, they're few and far between, but once again, it's putting yourself and believing in yourself and your faith that's gonna move you forward because
Right.
everything's not for everybody.
Everything's not fair.
Everything's not for everybody. Although you want it, it don't want you.
Hey, Ish, let's take another caller real quick. Let's get to another one. I see bring in Chris Williams. You see,
Yo.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. You didn't put your
What's
screen.
good?
You gotta put your screen. There you go.
Benny, what's up?
What up?
There you go.
Blessed, man, I'm blessed. How you feeling?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm I'm on the other line, man, listening to you guys talking about our event last night. It's all over the city.
Oh man, the event, yes.
People not stopping. Like my phone is blowing up, Benny.
Yeah,
And it's looking good on social, so I'm feeling great.
that's it. That's it. Do you have any questions for us about any music questions? I know we just did that clash, so we do a clash the basketball. We did some one-on-one that went crazy viral yesterday. Great event, one-on-ones. Shout out to all the basketball players that played in it. And I was just seeing if you had any questions about music or any business.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Definitely. So Benny, I have a young man I mentor who's a pretty solid artist, right?
Say his name.
Meek Bucks.
Shout out Neek. That's it. I like Neek Bucks. He's good.
So
He's really good.
we just trying to figure out the direction and the dynamic. You know, me and Chris talk about the business all the time, but I see the shift and I see you guys talking about the change. And Neek is really in a space where he's like, you know what? I really don't want to deal with labels. I want to look and see if I can get an investor and just really just move independently and create my own content. And he mentioned a name to me. You ever heard of the guy LaRussell out of the Bay?
Yeah, he did my conference this year.
Oh man, I love what
He's amazing.
Russell?
Russell.
Oh yeah, Lil Russell, yes.
Yeah, he just did some stuff with Baron Davis out at the compound out in LA, and he has this great payment method where it's like pay what you feel like this performance is worth.
Wow.
So it's donation based. So it's like, all right, if you think this show is worth $5 or if you think it's worth $1,500, hey, here. And I felt like that was a really unique, interesting way to approach like ticket sales.
He built to that though. He didn't start that way.
He
didn't
built that.
He got to that.
He didn't start there, he got there.
So,
Okay.
but there's I didn't mean to cut you off. The reason why I'm saying that is once it's all about creating a fan base. He's able to do that because dude works hard. You know, he has this whole set and performs in the back of his house. He's like in it. He's created his thing, right?
Wow,
He understands his audience. He understands what they want, so he can do that, right? For me, I might not be able to do that. You may not be able to do that. Your audience may not, you may not have given them enough content. You may not be engaging enough for that. So it's a great page to have, but you have to really go in and dissect it, right? How is this going to work as a part of our marketing?
Wow.
How are we going to now build up to be able to do this? It's the same scenario that I was similar, but not the same. About the young lady. Absolutely, man.
Gotta build that base.
With Neek.
The work will show.
Yeah, the work will show. That's where we're at with Neek, where it's like we have that fan base. He does really well, but it's like, how do we fully maximize that fan base? So now we're looking at doing more activations in the community, in the neighborhood, like getting into the schools.
Let me ask a question. Let me ask you. I'm gonna ask both you and Benny, a question.
Yep.
Because I do know Neek Buck's music.
Mhm.
I know exactly who he's talking about. I really like his music. How much emphasis do you put on that growth? Because he's trying to transition to the next level.
Mhm.
Hmm.
He's generating revenue. He's not like he doesn't generate revenue. I had real conversations with him. But how much emphasis do you put on the music, or say that it's because of the music versus the efforts he's doing? Because to me, the music has to kind of correlate with the efforts that you're putting in towards it.
It's always about the music.
It's to me, it's always
It's always about the music.
So again, sometimes the artist has to understand.
Unless you're a gimmick, right?
Unless you're a gimmick,
because what
he's
I'm
not
hearing
a
most people are
gimmick.
saying, he's substantive.
Right. So an artist sometimes has to understand that
It's a grind.
it could be just
It's not time yet.
yes.
It's a grind.
It's a grind. The timing might be off of the words he's saying. He's a super talented artist, but you got to find that's when producers come in that are add to me.
Take it
A
to the
Neek
next level.
Bucks, that's what he's missing. He's missing the production to help him make the records that I know he can make. He
Mhm.
just didn't make them yet. They're good. They're not taking them to the next level yet. And that's when you have to really be strong-minded as an artist, because it's hard to say that to someone and they accept it. Like I said, you're telling him his baby isn't the best looking baby.
But that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, though, right?
Yeah.
And this sounds like a perfect scenario of what the value a label would do.
Yes, because we
Right?
developed you. We found that
As you can find,
we would help you find that.
because when you're in your own silo, who's telling you that it's wrong?
Exactly.
Right? Who's telling you, hey, how do I level up?
And
How do
you're
we know
his
if I'm right?
mentor. You're his mentor. You can't tell him because you didn't do it yet. So he doesn't fully
Yeah,
believe
right.
you know that answer
Exactly.
in music for music. That's why I said it's a producer. You find that producer that has that experience and knowledge that will help him. And I think he's a top star in this industry.
You know what
I
always
believe in me, Neek Bucks. I believe in him so much. He's in my soundtrack for my movie.
So you know what's always probably one of the original principles in life, right? Don't ever be afraid to bet on yourself. What does that mean? Y'all might have to pay for that producer. You'll have to level up. That might cost different than what you used to. So how do we reallocate the income?
Yes.
How do we reallocate our resources? Because we want to go to the next level. We can't
Yes.
continue just to live the way we are and expect the same results.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree.
So one last question on that, and
Sure.
just to get both of y'all input. In this current state where we're at in the industry, how do you feel like let's focus on pushing one track versus let's just keep putting content out and see what bites
That's a great question.
for artists?
Um, I'll let Benny go because I go ahead.
Content is king.
Content is king.
Content is king.
It's a great question. See, in our day, right? If you go back, we could
Very
take
single.
one record and work the
Change the
shit out
world.
of it.
Change the world.
And change the world. And I'll shout out Steve Stout. He used to tell me 3 records on an album, and I'm comfortable for 1 year, right? Because I knew first single, second single, third single. That system does not exist today.
No.
But that was the mindset of us. So we knew we had 3 singles, we good for a year, right? And maybe more, because you might find a 4th one on it or something. But today, how do you compete? I think Future just dropped the album, I think. Today, he's dropping
Did you drop something today?
I think so.
Yeah.
So how do you compete with someone that's dropping so much content continuous? Drake, the biggest and best artist, they drop so much content. I don't care which artist you are in this game of life here, you're competing against the best every time. You are competing against the best artists every time you drop a record. So what's going to be compelling enough to take some of those fans to say, hey, man, you just dropped yours. Let me come over here. Like, I look at it as a very competitive sport, and it comes down, again, the music. And anything new, in my opinion, can beat existing. And what I mean by that is we already heard their story. We know who they are. The Drakes, the Futures. I don't know who Bucks is yet, right? If I'm a new listener. So he has that to his advantage, and he has to use that to his advantage. I always take negatives to positives, and that's one of them. New slays old every time. Audience is always looking for the next thing. So they already know what Drake. They know what Kendrick Lamar. You understand? We heard them, and yes, we're gonna continue to support them. But something new gets that new energy that's totally different that could garner that attention and that fan to start listening and supporting them.
I like that perspective because
Yeah.
it just makes me think like growing up on the East Coast, it was just one record that would get us familiar with like those guys in the South.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it would be like that one track, and that might be the only one you know, but you never really go through their catalog, but you just know that one song.
Right.
But like you said, that was years ago.
Yeah, they probably didn't have a second single.
That's
That's the programming aspect of it, right?
They probably didn't have that next
Yeah,
single. That's a fact.
Quality control.
But yeah, man, that's a great point. And that is a dilemma for a lot of artists: quality over quantity. People say that all the time.
Is that a real conversation like right now that happens, or it's just like, yo, just keep putting?
Today, it's really, in my opinion, you can never put out trash and expect to win. Right? And
1,000.
you can never put out weak shit and think
1,000.
you're going to be successful today more than ever. Because you get
People have too many
exposed
choices.
and there's too many
Too
choices.
many choices.
So it's like,
Too many choices.
once they hear that, they're like, I'm over here. So it's to me, it's now quality and quantity. So it's not, it's you have to have both. You have to have volume of quality music.
Yeah.
And you also have to super serve your fan.
Yeah.
Like you got to, because the fan is what's going to get you new fans.
Yes.
Right? So you got to feed them over and over and over again with what they like.
Take away the quarters, like the importance of first quarter drop, fourth quarter drop. Does that like mean that stuff is
Hey,
gone?
You gotta be I'll use the word agile. So when I was doing coding, they use that word all the time for when you're writing program. And what agile meant as a coder was the ability to switch on the fly without stopping. So we're building out this program this way, but I was agile enough to say, wait a minute, that doesn't work, and not lose the code that I wrote prior. That's how I look at it as well. And that's why I use that word agile, because when they explain what that was in that coding sense, in that technology sense, it made me understand it in a bigger perspective from business. I say it all the time with Clash. I have to be agile now because things might arise, and we have to be flexible enough to pivot and switch without losing our energy and momentum. And that's how new artists have to be completely. They have to, this game is constantly evolving and changing right in front of us. You have to be able to change and evolve with it, or you get left behind. So that's the agileness of what every artist should have.
No, I appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah.
Be nice to meet you as well.
Pleasure.
Man.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm gonna go back to Benny now.
Oh, let's get here. I see how you do it.
Yeah.
Keep it moving. You keep it moving.
Man, keep it moving. But this is great conversations. You had a major incident in your life.
Yeah.
And how did you deal with that and overcome it? And if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Because you also wrote a book.
Yeah, I put a book out.
Yeah.
So I was in a near-death car accident back in 2014 while I was at Epic. Hit a tree at 90 miles an hour.
Wow.
And the crazy thing about it all now.
That's a question.
Yeah.
Was you high?
No, I was actually the passenger.
Oh, was they high?
Passed out.
They just
straight up passed out, foot on the accelerator.
Wow.
Yo, bro, we literally was so crazy about the whole thing. Was at his house for a barbecue. We sitting in the back on the patio. We going through a lot of things, hadn't catched up in a while. This whole Misty Rain starts happening. Either he said or I said, yo, let's go take a ride. He just bought a new Benz. And I was like, yeah, all right, we were drinking, but nothing too crazy. no more, no less than what we've ever done before. We get in the car, back out, start driving down the driveway, literally make a turn onto the roadway. I'm about to make a call on my phone. Hear the thump on the accelerator. Car takes off. Yeah, turn my head. The odometer is 75. I turn my whole head. He's passed out with his foot on the accelerator.
Oh my goodness.
So from that point to the impact of the tree was a half a mile. And in that moment, that's when like you start to think and reflect back on life because it was so, so surreal. You know, I started thinking about all the things like, you know, who's gonna take care of my kids?
Oh,
You know, that's the first thing, right? I started thinking about, you know what, I didn't want to die today. If I'd have known that, I wouldn't have showed up. Right? If I knew that was going, and I got mad with God because
and this is all in that
this is all,
instant.
yo, B, these are seconds. You know,
Yes.
these
Yes.
are seconds,
Yes.
right? I got
Wow.
mad with God because, you know, I never thought this was how I was gonna go out. And I never thought that when I got to his house that this was potentially gonna be my last day. And
They say
know,
you see your life before you.
in slow motion. And you death does happen in slow motion. But after the impact of the tree truly was the shift in my life.
How long was your recovery?
Shoot, man, I don't think I ever recovered. but just the physical aspect of it, my new 100% is 80%, right?
I understand.
Yeah, I'm not who I used to be, but I'm better than I ever could be, right? Because you know, you just
You're
don't
blessed.
yo, what else? I'm on this side.
You're on
babe.
borrowed time.
I'm on this side. I'm on this side. So, yo, we're gonna deal with the aches and pains,
You're
right?
borrowed time.
Yo, come on. But what it did for the most part, it was the transformation to be here sitting with you.
Sure.
Because it made me look at life differently and look at time differently and really put what's important, like when going back to where we were in this conversation about, you know, what is wealth, richness, all of these things is none of that really matters if you
Can't
don't
take
have
it with
love,
you.
right? If you don't have love and you know, you don't have the right circle of people around, you don't have that positivity, you don't have, you know, things that are going to help you grow and also help others. And that's what came out of the accident. I mean, the injuries were, you know, severe, but you know, that's the scar that helps me remember, yo, to get back on track.
Right. Oof. Well, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah.
Me too.
And what's the book?
On
that's
Impact. So
called Impact.
On Impact. So it's double entendre kind of thing, right? So it's really in that moment, you know, I tell people that was the moment that God put this book inside of me, which was actually my calling card to a new direction. And it's titled On Impact. And Impact is an acronym which stands for Intuition, Mastery, Pivot, Authenticity, Connection, and Teamwork. We just about to approach the anniversary of the book. We put out in 2021, September 22nd.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that's coming up, and it's a great time. Great time.
That's great.
It's opened up a lot of doors. It's helped me speak to audiences that I've never spoken to before,
Right.
and also change lives. And that's
Gotcha.
what's most important.
I know we have another caller, Martell, that has a question for us. Let's bring Martell in, Ish. If they don't mind, put your camera on, Martell.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, there you go. How's it going, Martell? How's everything?
Good, man. I guess appreciate y'all for the for the call.
Sure.
But I just had a quick question. Like, I guess did you guys have any types of tips on building community? I know in this day and age, it's really about building community, and I was just wondering if you guys had any pointers or advice or tips on building community.
Probably the best thing is always staying connected to the fan live.
Yes.
Live is always like, and it's at your fingertips.
And that's basically why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Is to build community.
Okay.
I want to build a community for two-way where people have a platform that we could table. I bring in incredible guests that you never usually could talk to, that you could actually get to speak to, ask questions, and get information that, man, you can't really just get so readily out there. And this helps build community because it's something that you could get only here, right? This is not everywhere. I don't see this going on. When I looked at a company like Clubhouse, they was trying to do something like this. They failed, but they spent a lot of money, but it didn't work. I feel the reason it didn't work is there's no connection here. I don't know you, right? This is the first time we're ever talking, but you're seeing me live, talking to me live, talking to Benny live. And that is, to me, the bond that I thought Clubhouse might have been missing. Because when I went on it, it was kind of empty to me. That experience wasn't, let's say, community building, if that makes sense, because you bring up community. And it's, if you give the community something to enjoy, an experience that enriches them, that they feel something, you'll be able to really build a community. I'm doing it with Clash TV, with the basketball community, right? And I'm doing live streaming, which never took place before. These guys could now watch and tell their grandparents or their fans from whatever college they went to, hey, you could watch me now. I'm on TV, I'm on Clash TV. And then I'm bringing different game experiences. Like last night I had Tracy McGrady.
Wow.
Yeah. I had Tracy McGrady in the park, in Dykeman Park last night. And Jalen Brunson, not Brunson, sorry, Jalen Brown, the world champion MVP. Think about that. In Dykeman last night to watch street ballers play one-on-one. You never see that.
Never see that.
That is community building at its highest level, in my opinion. When you mention how important it is, I'm doing it everywhere I can with Clash TV, with Two Way, with Adventure Music. I'm about to set up a 10-city tour, come into cities, and touch the town, building community. And they'll get to know me on a one-to-one basis because I still believe in marketing. That's the best approach.
And to your point of what you're saying, it's your brand. Like, you can't forget you're a brand.
Yes.
Like, you're full time.
Yes.
And that's what I think people, they don't understand, that when you are now trying to penetrate the market, you have to now become your brand.
Yes.
So you're full time. It's not when you just want to do it, right? It's not a part-time
Where are
job.
you located, Martel?
I'm based in Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm gonna bring Clash TV out there to Detroit, or I don't know how far you are from out of there.
Yep, I'm from Detroit. Yeah,
you from the D. There you go. How come you didn't say that then? I got family on 7 Mile. Come on, man. Don't play with me.
Exactly.
Shout out Roy, man. Shout out Dewey. End of the day, I'm bringing Clash TV and doing these basketball because I know there's basketball players. It's just, again, and I always look in business, a supply and demand. Very basic principles in business that I stick to. That's one of them. Without that supply, without the demand, and we have an abundance of basketball players that don't go overseas or cannot make it to the NBA. So it's a natural fit or progression for me to say, hey, I got to supply this. There's a demand. They have no outlet. They have no outlet until I start providing them this. So now I got the supply and demand kind of under the control of all basketball. Think of how many colleges kids come out of every year. There's only 450 jobs in the NBA. Where are they going? They all can't go overseas. They're sitting home and they got to almost give up on a hoop dream that they was good enough to make D1 or even D2, but have nowhere to play or can't earn any money from it. And we're creating a pro league for the New York area first, and then I'm going to take that into Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, and just kind of grow it naturally and feed that and build my community. It fits exactly what you're saying. That's why I brought that up.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
No. I guess that was my only question. I appreciate y'all for that take on that.
Okay, cool. So I want to go. I'm going back to Benny.
You back?
Yeah, we're back.
You back?
Okay, you make it through this accident. Your book. What is Benny Pough doing today?
So I started a conference.
Yes, I seen it.
Yeah, down in hope you come down.
Yeah.
Charlotte, called It's Your Time Business.
Charlotte's one of my hubs.
Oh, then we gotta definitely.
Charlotte, in my opinion, is the next Atlanta. It's the next emerging Atlanta.
Exactly.
What Atlanta did for this culture, Charlotte is up on deck.
And it needs more people like us.
Yes.
Right. That understand how ripe and rich the marketplace is, and that it's definitely a wealth of opportunity.
Yes.
So I do that.
Love Charlotte.
Once a year. Next year it'll be April 3rd through the 6th, and it's called It's Your Time Music and Business Conference. And what it is it's kind of like a page out of what you're doing, giving people an opportunity who would never get the opportunity to meet people who have made a difference and a change in music, entrepreneurship, business, etc. Right?
Yes.
And it becomes virtually impossible for if you're the young man who was just Martell to meet a president of a label or a president of a corporation, but we give them that opportunity because why? I have these resources both from an executive level, a business level, mash it up, as well as we give away a $10,000 prize for a music artist during one of our competitions.
Gotcha.
I have a workbook that's coming out.
I definitely would love to be there.
Are you gonna be there?
Yeah, I will be there.
Yeah, you'll be there.
And Charlotte is a hub.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out No Limit Larry out there.
No limit.
Morning, man.
He's been in both years.
Those are my guys.
Yeah, he's been there both years.
Yeah. Burpee.
Yeah.
And man, we have a great time out there all the time with those guys. And Chuck, I have
Chuck T.
Yes. I'm out there.
Yeah.
Like those are my guys. I got to get back out there and do an event with them and just chop it up. I got one more question from the audience. What is that? Montega? Ish, you bringing them in? I don't hear you. Make sure you're not on mute. There we go.
Can you hear me, big brother?
I hear you now. That's not Montel. Come on, switch it back in. How do you say your name?
Montega the Mobster.
Montega the Monster. What's going on, man?
What's good, brother? Hey, I just wanted to shout out you and Benny. Y'all brothers are very articulate, man. I enjoyed listening to Two-Way right now. So I'm hearing y'all, right? Benny,
where are you located? I like to always know where my people are at.
Oh, North Carolina. I'm in NC right now.
Which part?
I'm in Charlotte, actually.
Oh,
but look, I represent the 910s, but it's all about North Carolina, period. So
yes.
Benny, as you know, and Chris, as you know, right? I'm an artist. Chris, you remember me from DeMizza.
DeMizza. Absolutely. I knew the name. I was putting it together. I swear to you.
Before I posted
yes.
You always show me love, man. I sincerely appreciate you, bro, your legacy and everything. So
thank you.
Since I'm tapped in with y'all, I have two questions. Benny, I got a question for you. I'm an up-and-coming artist. I fell before. I did 5 years and 7 months in prison. I'm putting that behind me. I am an engaging artist. I like to connect with my fans. This right here is the Born to Shine 2 tour. This is a tour that I crafted myself.
Love that.
With the help of JCI Legacy Films. It's a lady named Lady Harris. She's an author. I wanted to really try this, bro. Like, I took the standpoint of feeling like this, right? I'm not no wealthy rapper that's worth 500 million or nothing like that. I'm not no.
Hey, I'm not worth 500 million either. That's a big number, bro.
So I'm saying, like, you know how some artists might make the mistake of feeling like, yo, I'm a novice in this, the beginning of this, and I'm competing with the top people. I don't think like that. I think like, yo, man, if I get them 10 fans at a time, I don't think I'm an ugly guy, at me. I try to turn every girl that like me into my fan. You feel me? I love connecting with people. So what I've been doing is I've been trying to get the hard ticket sales up, man. I don't expect nobody to give me no opportunities. I try to create opportunities for myself. I've been blessed to be able to do records with Jadakiss. I've been blessed to do records with The Game. I've been blessed to collaborate with
those are big features.
Those big names, B. Like
big features, bro.
Yeah, Red Eyes 305. These are guys that I've actually been able to, my talent has got me in their faces and they haven't denied me, whether or not I was trying to I'm not looking at this for a bag from every situation. So what I wanted to say to y'all was, Benny, with what you got going on in your process, I wanted to know, do you have any opportunities that I could be a part of to be able to exemplify my talent? I wouldn't care if it was the smallest low platform, bro. I'm just trying to get my purpose out there and pursue my purpose, bro. So I don't mind showing up somewhere, bro. If I could get 3 minutes to wreck a song, I'm good with that. I'm just trying to I'm trying to make opportunities. I'm not asking nobody to give me nothing. I'm talented. I really want to do my thing.
Sure.
Now to you, Chris, you got Clash TV. If y'all could bring that to North Carolina, man,
It's coming.
I got a city. We need that, bro. We don't
I
have a
know.
lot
Every city
going
needs
on.
it, bro. Every city needs it. It's coming. Trust me. Pause.
Yeah, man. So
And as well, like the conference is April 3rd through 6th. I'm in Charlotte all the time, but I'm just listening to what you're saying. And we were talking about this earlier in regards to what's the best way on really promoting and marketing yourself in so much noise. And you remind me, right? And just take it how I'm saying it, right?
Yes, sir.
Juice Lord, you know Juice Lord?
I love Juice Lord.
So Juice Lord was the first winner of my conference.
We
And
connected at Chuck T's. Chuck T's, I was there with Lane from 104.5.
got you.
I
So
was out
the
there.
reason why I bring him up,
Yeah, I remember him.
well, the reason why I bring him up is because I feel your energy like his. And what he does is, yo, dude, he was notorious free shows, right?
Yeah.
Pushing himself as the winner of the $10,000. What he did, once again, he took the $10,000 that we paid him. The next week, he went and gave a free show and sold $10,000 worth of merch.
Nice.
So he made $20,000. And I'm just saying it to you with your hustle, man. It's one fan at a time.
It is.
Like it really is. Because just think about it. Yo, if a guy is able to do free shows and make $10,000, bro, that shows a lot about the people that are committed.
That's not easy.
It's not easy.
That is not easy.
I don't know.
And there's also a young lady down. There's a young lady in Charlotte, Reese. I don't know if you know Reese, but she does about 100. You should look her up. She does about 100, 150 shows a year. She sets herself. A lot of people. So this becomes really important on looking and pairing yourself alongside of people who are at your level and people who are above your level.
And like-minded.
And like-minded and see what's working.
Yes.
What are they doing? Introduction. Get out in the marketplace. It's hard work. But
you're doing it already.
You're doing it.
Yeah,
and you got features.
Yes.
And you got features. Real features.
And yeah, those features is big, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to waste them though. You know how I don't know what I'm doing. I'm an artist that'll never act.
No one knows what they're doing.
Wildfly.
If you was listening to us from the beginning, we both said we didn't know what we was doing.
I fell into this.
We just did it.
And worked hard.
Right or wrong.
And
worked hard. Just the same energy. We didn't know. We know now from a different perspective. And all it is an opinion, right? I tell everyone, we're both experts in what we do. So here we could give you the exact way we're telling you, and it doesn't work. And you're like, oh, they didn't know what they're doing.
Right.
That's the problem with every executive in music. There's no blueprint. So when the artists like you with that energy, if there was a blueprint, right? I would have 20 artists, 50 artists, and making so much money. It's no blueprint. In the sense of there's nothing it's not a cookie cutter business. You have to really find your audience and the people that resonate with you. And that is a process. That comes from work. That comes from doing. And that's why he's saying.
And it sounds like you have the creative end of it you're handling that. You have a manager? Is there anybody else who believes in your vision like you believe in your vision?
Yes.
And maybe even believe in you more than you believe in yourself?
No, but that management side, because I'm a very big believer in that. And it's not like you need someone, in my opinion, that is a manager of 10 years and has this experience. A manager of someone who just loves and believes in you.
Correct.
That's all you need. They will run through every wall you need them to run through.
That's
right?
the first.
And that's the hardest part, like, because that's where I always look at other artists and say, this artist, this manager's thinking they're gonna make money and there's no money, they quit. They stop. They get a lot of no's, they stop. And that is something that an artist doesn't need in their life. And I always recommend a family member only because there's a genuine love for you aside from your talent. So now, if they have that genuine love, I'm not saying just take them because of that. Take them because if they have that genuine love and they fucking believe in you as an artist, that's probably every independent's ideal manager if they have the time.
And it's team ball.
And
somebody you can bounce off ideas with. Because we both vested.
And let them make mistakes. Because that mistake is going to be their learning lesson to actually get you where you want to go. Don't be like, man, you did this bad. Or that's what's going to happen.
Chris, I'm going to say this, right? It's hard because you got to think like, I'm a risk-taking artist. I'll bet the house on myself every time, bro. I don't.
As you should.
I got to eat oodles and noodles for 2 months. A lot of people, they're there with you when it's good, but when it gets hard, bro.
But that's what I'm saying. You have to weed out. You have to know who's who.
So I don't think I've met that manager yet that can
hey, that is again,
time, so, you know,
I say all the time, I say management's a loveless job. Because I could do the best for the biggest artists and they want more. I got them 10 million. Why didn't I get 15? Right? You got 50 shows. Why isn't it 70? That's every artist. There's never a satisfied artist. I never seen it. No matter what you do. Even if their value was only worth 10,000 and you got them 50, they think they're worth 100. That is the problem. If you got me 50, why couldn't you get me the 100? That is a big problem. So an independent artist has to understand that part, in my opinion, as well, when they're grinding their way, to not put their management in a automatic losing position. Like no one could win for you then. And that is a big deal.
Like me, I'm the type of artist, I think like this, right? I'm not looking to get everything out of it. I'm the type of dude to where as long as it makes sense, I'm looking for life-changing situations, man. You get what I'm saying? If I'm in a position to where I can make $10,000 a show and you make 50 for me, it's other things that my mind wants to invest in outside of music. I'm not just the artist that's just thinking like, yo, everything relies on this. I got other dreams and aspirations. I'm an actor. I'm a model myself right now on the behind scenes of the movie, and I've actually started to
hey, listen,
just different things, you know.
I'm gonna hit you with something I believe in.
Greedy, bro.
I believe in something wholeheartedly. I'm gonna see if Benny agrees with me. When you're trying to do something, right? You want to be an artist, you want to be an actor. Which one do you?
I make everything support one common cause.
No.
I make
all right, yo, listen to me. You gonna listen or not? That is not true. That is a lie. Here's why it's a lie. Okay. How many of yous do you think there exist in this world? Just give me a number. How many artists like you exist that are trying to do exactly the same thing you're doing in music only? Just a number. I don't care.
Tell me 10, 50, 100, 200, 300, 1,000.
Okay. You cannot lack. It takes you that much focus and dedication to actually win in that area. And that same rule applies in every industry you just mentioned. Acting, modeling, whatever. There's that many people doing that exact thing. And the minute you stop doing it because you're doing something else, they get your slot. I just had this conversation when I went to the Black Caucus in DC, right? A dear friend of mine, his son is doing everything. And he's getting certain jobs. And I said, as soon as you get, he said, but then his energy stops. He can't get past the point. I said, because you're not focused, bro. The minute you don't keep doing your acting gig, someone else is getting your job because you was over there making a record. It's exactly the problem. Everyone watches these artists do so many things across the board. And you know what I tell them? They didn't start
They
there.
didn't start that way.
They got there.
Success brings you there.
True indeed.
Hey,
Mine's has been based, I'm real. Mine's is based off of monetary gain. So in reality, Chris, if somebody's hitting me up about the music for a feature and then they hitting me up,
I know.
Hey, yo, will you model these clothing?
You're doing it.
Bag.
I get it. I understand. I overstand. I overstand. But I'm telling you, that is absolutely, I don't care what artist you look at, they did not do 1,000 things to get their success. If you want, which one do you want to do the most?
Music.
Okay. Then don't do nothing else. Now, that takes away from the time you have to do music. Because if it takes you a month to go shoot a movie because you want to act, that's a month off that now someone might just have, you might have been right there at the edge and now someone just passes you, gets the opportunity that you could have got, but you won't get it. And then I don't know how far back you go. See, that's the part that I explained to this kid when I was talking to him in DC. Like, that's the X factor. You building your music up to a point and then you stop to do something else. I don't know how far you go back in music. How low do you go? But you don't stay where you're at because other artists are coming. They're going. And you're going to go further back. And that is the issue, in my opinion. And it's a big mistake because you're a hustler. You're like, where that bag, I'm going to grab it. But to me, that's like small-minded thinking. Yeah. That's not the thinking of someone who's thinking, I'm the best rapper and I'm going to kill it at this. I'm the best actor and I'm going to kill it at that, because you would never want to lose your slot after you work that way up. And that's exactly what happens.
It's been things, it's been on my off times.
But that's exactly what happens over and over and over with any industry. You have to be laser focused. Once you get in, now you could do something else because you have a slot, right? You have a lane. Right now, you laneless.
That's right.
I'm coming.
You know, it's funny because I use lane as my expression too. You know what the Autobahn is?
Yeah, that's in Germany, right?
It's in Germany. It's like 14 or 20 lanes and you could drive as fast as you want. And the reason I say that is because you're an artist. You could drive as fast as you want as an artist. Make as many records as you can. That's speed. But now, in the landscape of music, which is your lanes, how many artists are in this landscape of music like you? And how much in front of them, like, are they of you? Are they in front of you, behind? Like, if they're behind you, what's behind me is not important. That's one of the things I always say. It's always, I'm looking at what's in front of me. So who's in front of you? You're behind them. Think of it as a car. You're in a highway and they're driving. You got to pass them to become who you want to be. How about that? You got to pass that car in front of you to become who you want to be. And look, you don't rap like Drake. He's in a different lane. You don't rap like Future. He's in a different lane. But anyone that raps like them is in that lane behind them. And if they want to be better than them, they got to surpass them. And that's why I use the Autobahn as my expression, as an analogy to make you understand.
I appreciate all of this, man. I needed this. Y'all the OGs, man. How can I get better if I don't listen to wisdom?
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
All right, good brother.
All right, most definitely, Benny. And I appreciate y'all guys, man. Stay blessed,
thank you.
Man.
Thank you for supporting.
I need that.
We'll be there. And we're going to be in Charlotte. I think there's one other caller, and then I'm going to end off with you afterwards. Ernest. Where's Ernest? Are you on?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
I don't see which one is Ernest. Ish, pull him up, please. There you go. Ernest, how you doing?
Oh, that's Ernest.
Yeah.
Yo, that's so Ernest actually
everything good. Thank you for calling in.
Ernest is out here creeping, man. I see what Ernest is doing. So his son actually won the conference.
Oh,
this year's conference.
Oh, congratulations.
He's a heavy guy on here. Look at this.
Nice. So where are you? Are you in Charlotte?
I'm in Memphis.
Oh, you're in Memphis. I love this. See what we're doing? All the territories we're covering. You're in Memphis.
I'm just here to say, man, I appreciate what y'all doing. Benny has been a brother, a friend, a mentor, and you guys probably it'll take you 10 years to really understand the impact that you have, especially on markets like Memphis, where we don't get the opportunity to interact with, guys like yourself on a daily basis. Benny's conference was amazing. Like he said, my son was able to tag along with me and end up winning the grand prize of $10,000.
Let me hold
He
some.
invested that
That's right.
No, that's great. Congratulations, man.
So yeah, I just want to say I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, man. And Benny, let's stay in touch, bro.
Absolutely.
Oh man, Ernest, thank you for no questions. You're good.
No, I'm good, man. I'm just here to give you guys your flowers, man, and let you know that your
Take
work
it.
is
Okay.
impactful.
Take that.
Man, thank you so much. Keep checking in. We're gonna keep bringing great content and great shows to you. Information like this from Two Way. Thank you.
It's great, brother.
Yeah, that's good. That's see again, but I love me when I'm on this. I love seeing all of the locations because they all tie together, but they're all in the same need. If that makes sense, they all have that same need.
Yo, it's so much room now if you want to work.
Yeah,
Because you got to think about like all of the different people who came on and the ones who weren't able are all in an independent mindset. Think about as the labels get smaller, what are the executives going to do?
yes.
Yo, it's so
Let's-
much money to make,
Yeah,
but
perfect.
also so much information
Perfect
to give.
segue. We got about.
Of course.
We got about 15 more minutes.
Let's go, man.
And I wanted to talk about-
B. I'm gonna have
and
to
this-
hit this water or something.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and this is we seeing all these layoffs right now.
Yeah.
What do you think the impact this is going to have on the music industry? And how do you feel about, let's say, two men, father and son, basically controlling most of the market
Two-thirds.
share?
Yeah.
I know.
2/3.
2/3 of the music industry, father and son. Does this look like a takeover?
I mean, it's
Something.
listen, the takeover done happened.
Yeah.
Right. So let's look at it from a holistic standpoint
Sure.
and think about the evolution of music. It's always gotten smaller.
Yes.
Right. From its inception, right? So what happens a lot with companies with success, they balloon a little bit, then they constrict. They balloon a little bit, then they constrict. Then there's the technology that makes it go small and stay. And now you're ballooning and it constrict from a smaller perspective.
Yes.
So now what streaming has done, and think about what's happened, especially from the Black music business perspective of when streaming came in, there was no immediate need or necessity for the Black executive to have the same level of positioning and power inside of a record company. What do I mean by that? We were the ones that used to mind the artists, right?
Right.
We were the ones that had the relation. You couldn't talk to Ja without speaking. You
Oh,
couldn't speak to Ashanti without.
That's right.
You just couldn't, right? Because one, there are boundaries that are
Yes.
involved. So as the labels,
Are those walls down now?
those walls are gone,
Ripped
bro.
down.
They're gone because think about it. The labels are signing acts just like penny stocks, right? There's no I don't need a connection. I'm gonna call whomever, right? To go on, do the deal, send the contract, that's done.
Done.
As you perform, you start. What are we really talking about?
Yes.
In the grand scheme of how the business is now acquiring artists, there's not the necessity for people to actually engage or take care of. If you make it, you make it. If you don't, there's
Next.
another one.
Next.
There's another one. And if I have enough of these, if I have 100 of these and think about it, the deals aren't what they used to be.
Not at all.
People are doing $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 deals.
Deals.
As a label, we still know they have.
I could do bad by myself.
I can do bad by myself, right? You know, they still have tens of millions of dollars that they can allocate resources to A&R marketing, all of those things. But now we're not going to do that on 5. We can spread that bread out, right? Because something's going to pop. That's just the average of numbers.
It's just what it is.
It's just what it is.
The record labels still have all of those outlets that help market and promote these artists. So that's something they built and created all of that access. So they look at these artists once they start raising their head and say like they're investing them, but they put them into their funnel, their system, and see how if it moves the needle or not. But there's so many of them, they don't care anymore. Before they used to want stars.
And I think
they don't care if they want stars or not.
And I think what's important, correct. And I think what really is important is the model that the future is. What does it look like?
Mm-hmm.
It's United Masters-esque, right? It's, what Steve and Latrice and Dave, those guys are doing over there, because the services, what people can't get to, are the things that are going to really help independent artists. So the labels have to morph beyond just, straight artists and repertoire, and really can't offer anything to a developing artist.
What do you think about Jay-Z folding Rock Nation inside of Equity now?
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're now competing at both the traditional label aspect, but also having the ancillary aspect of setting up your own independent structure. Now we can offer you both.
You know what's crazy? I had a lot of meetings with Rock Nation about Equity. I had a lot of meetings with Steve Stout before they started about United Masters. One thing that I noticed over at Rock Nation that they had, that to me, they have probably one of the most robust digital systems, bar none, from social media, anything. If someone says something, they get this information and then to put it out. That's part of the reason someone like a Rihanna, who's over there, is so well taken care of from that perspective. That information, I'll give them a jewel if they worked it. That to me is what sets them far apart, but they don't utilize it the way I feel they should, because they could actually take that and really impact so many artists that have never been impacted. And then they can still use it on a talent basis. They don't have to just take anything because it's moving. That's the system that is built over there, and they did it for their sports. So it was about their Rock Nation sports division that built it out for the athletes. But if they kind of flipped it upside down and put it to the artists, I mean, lights out, they would have something I don't see no label has, and they would be far leaps and bounds ahead of them, because today's all digital. They have it, they're built. I was fully impressed with when I seen it.
You know also else does an amazing job? Ghazi. He's probably one of the original Empire.
Ghazi is the reason I started, in a sense.
He's the OG of all of the indie structure.
Here's what I'm gonna tell you though.
Go ahead.
Tell you what Ghazi gave me. Shout out Ghazi. Shout out, who's over there, Tina Davis.
Yeah.
So shout out Tina.
Shout out Tina.
What Ghazi, in my opinion, wants to be is a record label.
Kind of, sort of, right?
No, he wants to be a label. He has a partnership with Universal.
Yeah.
That's why he can't do what's needed for the culture. They'll never, that blocking would have to dissipate, and he would have to kind of alter his thinking just a little bit. But Ghazi's a tech guy. His platform is still one of the best platforms out there, period. So all I'm saying, and I would talk to him, see, when I first came in with Adventure Music, I didn't have someone to help me distribute it from. Ghazi's who let me do it. And for that, I always will be thankful for him. He's the one who got me started. And I went to Ghazi and I said, tell me your system. This is now 15 years ago. I said, tell me your system. He said, well, I want you to have X amount of followers. He put a criteria, and then for that, we could do X, Y, Z. And I was like, well, you're a digital platform. Why wouldn't you just do it for everybody? Why is there a barricade or blocking of someone? It's just not open to everyone. He said, I don't want to deal with them, because he wants to be a label. He wants the cream of the crop. But from a business standpoint, I will say this. One artist successful was like worth
all the other stuff.
20, 50,000 little artists. So I understand it.
Yeah.
but we're moving into that side of things more so than just that one artist. That one artist will raise his head, but it's more about quantity in a distribution standpoint or in a record business standpoint.
Volume business.
Yeah.
It's the volume business.
It's the bottom feeders.
Absolutely.
And it's hold on. So, we always say we go full circle with music. The music industry's always been about pennies.
Always.
Always been about pennies.
Yeah.
We're just counting fractions of pennies today, but at so many more places, which adds up to those pennies that we kind of walked away from.
And those pennies are spread so thin because so many people are now in.
Yes.
When we control we have quality control.
That's it.
Right? If you just think about just the basic rudimentary aspect of what the business was when you were in brick and mortar, right?
Yeah.
If your store could hold 5,000 titles, well, guess what? Only 5,000 titles could fit. Although
Now?
100,000 out people who wanted to get in.
Yeah.
Right? So
different.
so the quality had been at a level just because the audience, right? Like, if I'm bringing this into the indie, I'm paying my money to take a chance on your music that somebody else is going to come buy it. Well, now with the DSPs, you can just go forever. It's countless.
I still have a system I think I could change the world with. I don't want to put it out. I'll tell you off here.
Yeah.
But at the end of I think it's needed. It's absolutely the next evolution of this independent game and where it's going to go or has to go to survive, or the record industry's in big trouble, further trouble. And with, like I said, we've seen all these layoffs right now and some big names, but it's really Lucian and his son kind of cornering the market, let's call it. Like you said, 2/3 of the music industry is controlled by the same family.
In respect, right?
And they've basically gotten rid of a lot of senior execs that we would have never thought would have happened in the way and the fashion it happened, and they did. It's the changing of the guard. So the question is, what do you believe is next? When you hear changing of the guard, what do you think they're up to? What is the Lucian Grange's family up to? What's that Lucian family up to?
You know what, man? I don't know enough about them to say what they're up to. I mean, you can look at the obvious to say, like, well, guess what? They're gonna have a lot of influence.
Yes.
Like, that's just the
lot
basic.
of power.
A lot of power is gonna flow. And also, however they see the business is
Do you
what
think
the
they'll
business
merge?
gonna be.
When,
I think there's a lot of regulatory issues that probably will happen with something like that. But is the business gonna go to 2 versus 3? Who knows? I think I want to go back to your opportunity, what you asked about, well, what happens? It's going to become vast opportunity. I'm sitting here, like, even in this conversation, I'm thinking, talking to you, it's like, just imagine if it was 5 other people, like, we will be many labels because there's hundreds of thousands of people who just want direction. Every caller that you had, all they wanted was information.
They wanted information.
What's the value for that?
Yes.
Right? Because ultimately,
hey, executives are no different. They call me. I'm sure your phone is.
Absolutely.
They call me, these execs in these offices, to
They
pick
stuck.
my brain. What do
They
I
stuck.
think?
Yeah.
Just like these callers did. It's no different.
So the labels ultimately will need folks like us, people who have exited, people who are about to exit, in order to work the plethora of artists and opportunities. Think about it. If the labels are the bank and they're looking at what is happening and what's not from the independent perspective, they're always willing to overpay for something that's going to work.
Yeah.
Right? We just don't overpay we're not going to overpay anymore for hedging our bet.
Man, I'm curious to see where we're going to go. I really am. And I do think there might be a merger ahead. Come home to Papa. He's going to bring his son in.
That would be ice cold.
I believe that.
That would be ice cold.
Their move's been ice cold already.
That would be ice cold, bro.
Yeah. And,
but you never know.
You never know.
And ultimately, you know what?
Universal is publicly traded. Warner Brothers is privately owned, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
I think they might go the route of everything being privately owned and no longer publicly traded. But I don't know. And like you said, to turn over, that's a huge move if that was to happen. A lot of paperwork. A lot of paperwork. Get your lawyers up.
Yeah.
But Benny, man, I want to thank you. Is there any other thing you wanted to talk about right before we get off?
Man, listen. I thank you for the time of sharing with your audience. Please follow me at Benny Pough on all my socials.
Sure.
It's Your Time Business and Music Conference. And man, listen, keep your head up.
Yes.
Stay strong. And don't let anybody take your dream.
That part.
That's it.
Man, Benny.
Yo, you've been great.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Great interview. I just want to say it's Chris Gotti Lorenzo signing out for the Coaches Calling. Another great episode. Please like, share, subscribe, follow, and we'll be back with more great guests soon come. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yo, you go hard, B. It's 2 hours.
2 hours. I do 3.
Peace, brothers.